everybody, it's Brooke. Welcome back to another episode of the Fully Spun Podcast. I'm filming this sooner than the gap between the last two, but not as quickly as I intended, so I apologize for that. This is my co-host, River, and he is... he hasn't had enough attention today. I've been working really hard all day. And I also am going to record this and then take him out to play in the doggy park. So he had his evening walk, but he hasn't had his playtime. So he's being River. But yeah, my little cutie poo. Down. Alright, so today I am prepared. I took some notes on, because there's quite a bit that I want to talk about. And I don't have a ton of time to go through and edit this video, so I would like to pretty much be able to get through this in one take, and fingers crossed I don't say too much. I know I have a really, really bad habit of that. So anyway, how are you guys doing? Okay. This month has been a lot. It's been great. And we're going to get to that at the end, but I have quite a few things that I wanted to talk through first. Crochet Along was over a month ago, and I never pulled the final prizes. I also dropped the ball on the last quarter, but throughout the rest of the year, there was lots of great participation, and I did pull the 2 giveaway prizes from the chatter thread. So there were no entries in the 4th quarter FO thread, partly because I didn't have any podcast episodes or really keep up with it or push it, and there was a last minute switch of groups. So thank you guys, those of you who did kind of see that and jump right in to merge into Fully Spun. I really appreciate that. The winners, these were probably both of the most active people in the knit along the whole year, are V Shaw 7, Victoria, and Ostruska, who's Linda. So if you guys will get in contact with me, let me know what skein of my yarn that's currently in stock that you'd like me to send you, and I will go ahead and get those sent out to you. Thank you to everyone who participated. I really, really appreciate it and love seeing everything that you guys made. You made so many wonderful sweaters, even though I don't think I made any. I think I maybe made one in January for someone else, but that's okay. I'm working on it this year. I'm doing a little bit better. Welcome to any new viewers, and thank you for coming back to any returning viewers. You can find me mostly on Instagram at I'm Fully Spun. My website is fullyspun.com. Fully Spun's also on Facebook, and the Ravelry group is Fully Spun. So that's where you can find me. All the links will be below. If you'd like to follow River Shenanigans, he's on Instagram as River_Biver. I don't post too often on there, but he's a cutie pie and very photogenic, so I have lots of pictures. I just need to upload them, which is the story of my life. Okay, we haven't done this in a while. The recommended pattern of the week. The recommended pattern of the week is the Cardigan by Denise Barron of Barron Handmade. This is a super gorgeous sweater that I cannot wait to knit eventually in my yarn. I think it would be fabulous, but in any super bulky yarn it would be very cute. And I found it on Instagram, and I found it on Instagram because someone who I believe test knit it posted it, and she was a curvy girl like myself, and it is extremely flattering based on where she pinned it. It was just super cute. I know it would be super warm, and even though the yarn was thick, it looked great on her. So it looks great on Denise too, who models it in the picture that I inserted. She's the designer, and she also has kid sizes as well. Speaking of, I have speaking of, I have new sweater kits available for dye to order in my shop. The process takes about 6 to 8 weeks because it takes me about a month to get things back from the mill. But this is a great way to get a sweater's quantity of my yarn and make sure that you have everything from the same dye lot, and that I'll make sure that you get skeins that match each other. So for example, if I dye a pound, that'll get me about 7 or so skeins, and they'll all be mirrored of each other because of the way I dye it. So that'll make your life easier, to make it really super easy to get pretty matching sleeves or not matching at all, depending on your preference and depending on what you decide to make. And specifically, I will have a separate listing for Cardigan dye to order kits as well. In Fully Spun news, upcoming shows, my yarn will be at Stitches West in Santa Clara, California from 2/21 to 2/24. I will be in the booth with Diane of Lady Dye. I won't be there physically. Unfortunately, I don't have enough PTO days to be able to make it. I would really wish I could be there to meet everyone, but I know Diane will take good care of you guys, and thank you so much in advance for your support. I also will be at Woolworks in Baltimore on February 23rd. I'll be there with some yarn to say hello again. I've done a trunk show there once before and loved it. Love the ladies. And if you're looking for a podcast to listen to, the Misadventures in Knitting podcast is hosted by Tara and Ashley, who both work at Woolworks in Baltimore. So I'm excited about that and excited to see you guys there. And I have even more fun stuff coming up for March. Alright, VKL. It was fun. It was a great experience. It was a whirlwind. I didn't even get to look at the marketplace. I was in my booth all weekend. I saw all my favorite people. Like, wow. It was amazing, and I can't believe I haven't done it yet, but I believe this was the way to do it, because as a vendor, I get to talk to everybody, whereas if I were attending, I would talk to nobody. But that was amazing, and I wish I could be there every year going forward. I don't know, fingers crossed for 2020. I'll try. I don't know if I'll be able to make it in or not, but it was amazing. And if you've been thinking about going and wishy-washy, yes, you need to go. You will love it. It's a great experience. They have so much to offer. Like it has a lot of depth to it, and you'll be able to see all your favorite people. There are classes, book signings. There is a runway show. There's all sorts of things to see, like all of the things that you love and all the people that you meet on social media. So, but never get to meet in person. So I definitely recommend it. And speaking of VKL, I was good on Cold Sheep 2019. It's hard, but at the same time, I have so many projects that I need to do as far as samples I need to make that I don't even need to buy any yarn. So, but I did get a couple things. So, first acquisition is Shelly Can's VKL NYC bag. And I already have a few pins on it, but it's really cool. It's a really heavy duty canvas, quite a large bag with a plain cheese pizza ready to become your pin Peroni pizza. Her theme was pizza, and she had a whole cool like stitch markers and not stitch markers, enamel pins, and a little gauge set. But I didn't get a chance to get any of that, but I did have my friends grab this bag for me, and you won't be able to see, but inside it's got a pocket, and the benefit to that pocket is it helps keep any yarn from catching on the pins. And I bought a bunch of locking pin backs on Amazon, so I've got all my pins locked in. And it's not that you can't take them off, but it makes it a lot harder than the regular pin backs. So yeah, and these are my pins from the Fibrous, and then one from Etsy, if any of these catch your eye. So yeah, so that is great. And I have a couple other pins that I got, and a patch that I need to iron onto here. But I love this, and this is going to become like my bag, and I'm going to fill it up with pins. My next acquisition is Double or Nothing by Alistair Post Quinn. So in the booth with Diane, so Diane is the dyer behind Lady Dye Yarns. She does lots of fabulous colorways, including a whole set of Black Panther inspired colorways, lots of bold colors, and a combination of solid, speckles, tonal, variegated, that all will combine together cohesively if you like to create multi-scheme palettes. I had the pleasure of creating a 7-color fade for a client with her yarn, and I don't have a picture of it, but it was amazing. I was proud of myself, and it's going to be fabulous. So that was a lot of fun to do that. But she had five people in her booth. So she had herself, she had me, she had Crochet Luna, who does buttons and pins. She had Alistair, who was there with a bunch of his books. He was also teaching at Vogue Knitting Live, and he had some samples so you could see some of the book samples in person. And then she had Alex Creates, who's from New York, who has bats and yarn and pins and the Knitwit and Hooker hat sets that I think were probably what was most popular. And so 4 out of the 5 people were people of color, and she knows Alistair from Boston. And so that was very gracious of her to extend the opportunity to us, because with what that does is that provides access to smaller creators to a really big, huge opportunity. So thank you, Diane. I really appreciate the opportunity. I had a blast, and thank you again for doing the same thing with Stitches West. I look forward to working with Diane in the future, and definitely check her out. She's also a person of color. Please support her if you have a chance. She was the person who organized the Fab 8 Craft Club, which I talked about last time and which sold out really quickly. But she is currently has signups open for a mystery craft club where you pick warm or cool, and she will fill the contents. And she also has a summer one coming up, which I don't believe the signups are open yet. So pay attention to her if you like kits and clubs and support multiple people. She's very interested in also supporting LGBTQ and BIPOC folks. So if that is something that is of value to you, she's definitely a person to follow. But back to this book, he has great books. So both of his other book was Extreme Double Knitting, I believe, and both of his books have a lot of directions. Oops, sorry. Both of his books have a lot of directions on how to do double knitting. I believe he also has a craftsy class if you want video content. He signed it for me. I got one for my friend too, and he signed that one as well. And then there are just lots of really fun patterns, and since part of Cold Cheap is to get rid of stash, I felt like this is a great way to get rid of even more yarn and make fun, warm garments and things. So I'm excited to try out a new skill, and I do like stranded color work, so I'm sure I will also like double knitting, and you know I love brioche, so I'm sure this will be right up my alley, and excited to learn something new. So my last acquisition probably should have been in the Fully Spun update, and it's not exactly recent, but I haven't talked about it before, and it's only recently listed on my website. So I have Fully Spun tote bags, which are a little bit smaller than the Shelly Can tote bags, but they're perfect for sweater projects, and my sweater has been living in here. And I've got some buttons on the back and plan to fill it up with pins too. It's a great heavy canvas and has a nice strap to it, so it's just a perfect little tote bag that excuse me, and is actually big enough to put something inside of. So if you are interested in that, these are on the website, and they will ship directly. So the way that this works is I did the design, and I have a fulfillment partner who will print these in America and ship them directly to you from their site. So these probably take about a week to 2 weeks to get to you once you order them, but once you have them, they are a great bag. Okay, where did my list go? Whew, I'm flying. See, I have a whole lot of content, and I'm probably going to be at a 15-minute video again, but that's fine. Okay, works in progress. So, we should be having a finished object celebration. I finished my Little Elephant's Cowl by Jen Geigler. I was knitting that in my super bulky yarn in the Shamus Blue colorway, but I forgot I didn't get I got a bathroom selfie, but I didn't get a shareable photo before it went off to be a show sample. So I'll have that back and I'll do a FO review video on that cowl, but I did finish it. I finished something, guys. So I'm gonna cheer anyway, and I'll show it to you guys later. So next in works in progress, I've been mostly monogamously knitting on this. I've been doing knitting design that I'm working on that I want to wait to show you guys until it's finished. So that's been part of my time, and then of course my job and my business. So I don't have a ton of knitting time, but I did get a good bit of this done on the train. So last time you guys saw this, I was in the color change part between the medium gray, between the darker gray and the darkest gray color, and I finished the darkest gray at the bottom and have started an attached brioche border. So I'm over halfway through on that. So once I go all the way around, I'll finish the bottom off with an I-cord bind off, and then I'll have to do the 2 cuffs. So this is the Autumn Affinity by Suzanne Summer, who Sosu Knits, who I had the pleasure of meeting and giving a hug to at VKL. She's definitely my favorite designer. I'm a huge fangirl, and I'm loving knitting this. It just is a pretty big sweater, so I want to wear it. But I'm getting there. So this is looking great. I love it, and I hopefully will have this done by the time I record again. The yarn is from Deli's Delights. She doesn't really have a website, but this is 100% alpaca, which I got a really great deal on, and I have a ton of yarn left over. Probably to make it would be great to make like a striped, like boxy, like the V-neck boxy or something like that would be really fun, I think, in this. And it would probably be a fast knit, just swirl around in stockinette in the round. That would be pretty cool, I think. But this yarn is super soft, and I bought this at Shenandoah. So if you're an attendee of Shenandoah, keep your eye out for her, because she's got this stuff and it's freaking amazing. So that's that. Hopefully this will be a finished object next time, fingers crossed. And hopefully you guys will be seeing me finish more things instead of just, you know, making slow progress. So that's it for works in progress, and let me make sure I'm still recording before I get into the serious bit of this podcast. Okay, so if you are active on Instagram in the knitting community, I'm sure you're more than aware of what has been happening. There has kind of been a come to Jesus moment on racism in the knitting community, and there have been quite a few people who have stepped up and said, I don't want to be this person. I would like to do better. How can I do better? This was all started by a blog post written by Karen Templar, who is the owner of the Fringe Association, who do the canvas bags. In her blog post, she goes off on this whole, she starts off saying, you know, it's a new year, blah, 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 and that she has decided she wants to go to India. And she then proceeds to equate her decision to go to India with her decision to start wearing color. And in the process of explaining this, says a lot of really problematic things. Now, I don't know, I haven't, first of all, her blog was so poorly written. I almost didn't even make it all the way through it because it was just, it didn't make sense. The way that it was written, it didn't make sense. So, you know, why does this lady have a blog platform is a great question. But, you know, I make videos and I'm not necessarily the best videographer, so that's okay. But in the process of, so step one, she's not a great writer, which, you know, that's fine. The next issue, I don't know, I haven't followed her closely enough to know if she has repeatedly done racist things. If, you know, I've never met her in person, I don't know anything about her. But to me, this screamed of just like bias because of not seeing. And it reminded me of the movie Get Out. So in the movie Get Out, the horror part is that this family is taking the conscience of elderly white people and putting it into young people of color. So black people and I believe there was a person of one other ethnicity in the movie. And that was the way that she described, you know, I've made this decision, I'm going to go to India, you know, notwithstanding all the problematic things that she mentioned in describing her supposed love of Indian culture. But then she said, and, you know, I'm going to go to India and I'm going to start wearing color. And, you know, going to India is just making me feel like I want to wear color and blah, blah, blah. It's almost as if before she's even stepped foot in India in 2019, she's decided that she's going to take a piece of their culture with her and use it to her advantage. And the advantage is that she gains quality of life because she has taken the color of another culture and has adorned herself with it. And that's absolutely disgusting. And so there were a lot of responses. Quite a few people did a lot of good work in breaking that down. There are some other problematic posts that followed from other people. And just this week, there was a podcast episode that was also problematic. I didn't watch it. I don't follow that person either. But, you know, here we are. The result of that is that my Instagram audience more than doubled in about a week. And so that was quite overwhelming. It was amazing. I really appreciate being included in the list of people of color who are makers and who are entrepreneurs in the crafting community. And I appreciate those of you who are new here for deciding to pay attention to what I have to say, and for those of you who, have newly decided to provide support. My take on the post and racism in the knitting community and the issue that I have in the knitting community is a little bit different than what has been shared otherwise. So there was a lot of sharing of experiences of direct racism or experiences of of being ignored and being mistreated, microaggressions and things like that people of color have experienced while trying to participate in knitting and crochet spaces. All of that is 100% valid. You kind of I grew up in the South, and in my high school, all the black kids, we all sat together. Now, whether we all liked each other or not, we all always sat together in one spot in the cafeteria at lunch every day. And it wasn't that the other students wouldn't let us hang out with them, but that we would never be their real friend, and we knew that. And so that's how I grew up, and so that's what I'm used to. So, things like getting followed around the store, or, people not seeing you. I'm used to that in everyday life and don't attribute that specifically to the knitting community. But one thing that I do think is really important is and one thing I think that this article the blog is an example of, but that I don't think I've seen discussed yet, is the bias that society has instilled in all of us and the ways that negatively impacts people who are in minority communities. So whether that's LGBTQ, BIPOC, disabled people, any other category of a minority or disadvantaged person, is that psychologically we all are attracted to people who look like us. On top of that, most of us are in a society that has participated in imperialism, or are in a society that has been on the opposite end and come from a history of imperialism. And what that does is creates a society in which the foundation is based on inequality based on color. So in history, media, white people are projected as the norm, white people are projected as better, and even, if you don't believe that yourself, your unconscious bias leans towards that way because of what society has instilled in you. The same thing with the way that patriarchy works, which most of our societies are patriarchal as well. The effect that has on someone like myself, who is an entrepreneur and a person of color, is that many times I'm not seen. And the people who I have connections with, or the people who I try to make connections with, will be different than, say, someone who has an equal product, has been, doing it for someone who's on equal par, but who is a white person, could potentially have easier access to a larger audience because someone with a large platform will share them. And the people who have large platforms mostly look the same. Store owners will be more receptive to giving them a try. I haven't had any trouble getting trunk shows or having people be interested in my product, but there are many people who have had this trouble, and there are many people with platforms, people who own stores, people who run shows, who have these biases, whether conscious or unconscious. And same thing with designers. Visibility, especially in the age of social media, is something that is self-reinforcing. And so when you're lacking either the direct connection, when you're not seen by those with the platform, And of course, when the audience is naturally less inclined to be interested in you based on what they see and their conscious or unconscious bias, those are decks that are stacked against you and what you're trying to build if you're a member of one of those minority communities. And so the way to combat that, the way to say, I recognize that, this group of people is disadvantaged. I don't want to be someone who doesn't see people. I don't want to miss out on a great pattern or a great yarn just because someone is stuck in a bubble of having 300 people pay attention, and so I'm over here in this bubble and they never cross over into mine. The only way to combat that is with being intentional. To be intentionally inclusive, if you have a platform, and it's not, I'm going to include a black person just to include a black person. It's to say, I have a platform and I want to blog about a different artist every weekend. So for these, and then to say, okay, have I done what I can do to include people, to look and see, as I'm choosing who I would like to include, am I including more than my immediate circle? Am I reaching out beyond that to try to expand my horizons and expand who I can include and who I can show? If you're hosting a show, what do the people who are vending at my show look like? Is there a way that I can leave a space open for a worthy person from a specific minority community? If you are a consumer of content, what do the people who you watch look like? Obviously, if you're watching my video, you don't seclude yourself, but if you are, a rancher in Texas and all the people you watch are ranchers in Texas, then you have some work to do to be more inclusive in the content that you consume, if consuming varied and diverse content and supporting varied and diverse people is something that you value. And if you are someone who purchases yarn, there are so many things to consider when you're purchasing yarn, purchasing handmade objects. Just the decision to purchase something that is handmade or made and sold by a small business as opposed to a commercially made item is a decision in itself. There's decisions to be made, like where things are sourced from. But also, when you're out shopping, when you're considering, have it in the back of your mind to consider and see people from minority communities. So whether that's to say, okay, I'm going to follow, I want to buy some yarn. Who are, people of color who I can, look and see what they have to see if there's anything I like. It's not that you are obligated to buy something just because, that person is a person of color, but to say, I am going to take my power, which is my money, and I'm going to try to help someone who can be a victim of unconscious bias in society, but also happens to live in a society that has systematically placed them in a disadvantaged place. And I didn't even get into that, especially with black people in America. But your power is either with your money, if you're someone who's just purchasing, with your consumption, if you're a content consumer, and with your platform, if you're a person who has a platform and you own a store, or you run a show, or you have a large audience who you can share things with and who listen to you. And so, you know, if you're outright racist and you hate black people and you hate Asian people and you hate, you know, Native Americans, and that's a whole other conversation, and I can't help you with that. But but if you consider yourself to just be a regular person and you feel like you treat people equally and blah blah blah, please take an extra step. And but stop, River. If you're a regular person and you're not, you don't think that you're racist, and you know you feel that you treat people equally, you would like to treat people equally, please take an extra step to try to see people beyond your current field of view, and understand that to those people who are othered, that makes all of the difference to be seen. So for me, I work extremely hard to create a product that I know I can stand behind. I absolutely love doing what I do and mixing up the colors and, you know, dyeing the wool and, you know, coming up with different things and seeing how they react. I love talking to people at the shows and, you know, meeting so many new people. I absolutely love every piece of it. And I have done what I can do to build a quality product and build a quality and responsible business. And the fact that my audience can double in a week because all of a sudden people are talking about racism and people are saying, where are these people of color? How can I find them? I think says everything, because people didn't just see that I was black and decide to follow me because they're following all these black people on a list. People said, oh, here's a list of black people of color who, you know, are makers in the community. People looked at profiles, including mine, and then decided to follow the ones that they liked, and my audience doubled because of what I have built. And that, you know, is something I understand to be my value, but it just, when you frame it that way is, I think, an example of the problem. So thank you so much to those of you who are new to my channel, new to my Instagram, new to Fully Spun, new color lovers out there. I have a lot planned for 2019. Wish me luck and wish me strength in actually getting it all done. I've got a lot more work ahead of me, and thank you so much. Alright, so that's it. It got real deep. Let's bring it back light. I hope you guys have a great night, or whatever time that you're watching this. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you to those of you who've been here from day one. And those of you who are brand new, I appreciate all of you. I hope at some point I get to actually meet all of you at a show. And I hope all of you have a great day, and I will see you in the next one.